Well, healthcare in most countries is a citizenship right, but not in the United States until yesterday. And so I think this will sort of say America is less exceptional. It is sort of like a normal OECD country. So in that sense, it normalizes America. I actually think, the healthcare reform we adopted is pretty close to the Swiss model. It's one of the more conservative models in Europe. Switzerland is highly individualistic. So, it's a multi-tier system, and I think it will not change self-perception of America very much. I think the Republican railing about this as socialism is politics of the moment. I think this will pass. It was very deep. I think anti-Americanism is not just tied to the personality of the president. It is tied to what people think America is about, what it stands for. And it is very often tied to what is the politics inside the various countries. America actually is being used for domestic political purposes. So the anti-Americanism often is not about America, it's about the politics in the other country. But I think during the Bush era, Bush was without any doubt the most unpopular president viewed abroad of the last half century. And you could see this with the recent Pew poll that Obama's personal standing has increased enormously. But anti-Americanism, systemic anti-Americanism, hasn't declined much. The edge is off. Obama is a charismatic leader. Prime Minister Rudd and everybody in the world would like to stand next to him and get a little bit of that charisma. But there are many policy issues on which the world disagrees with America, and America is in many ways now much weaker than it was 4 or 5 years ago. The financial crisis, we haven't seen the full depth of the cost of that crisis. So I think anti-Americanism is there as a systemic force in world politics. It helps you think about America in the plural. That is, that there are multiple traditions. Americans think of themselves as being liberals. But in fact, Americans are not just liberals, they're also Republicans. Republicans in the original sense of the term, it being an American republic. Americans are also racist. There's a deep racial tradition. America is also post-nationalist. America is also militarist. So multiculturalism as a invocation of a country of multiple political traditions means that you get a more accurate reading of American politics. An enormous one. In many ways people talk about America having a lot of soft power, which I think is true. When Columbus, in his third letter to the emperor, the Spanish king, wrote back, "America has the shape of a pear with a nipple turned upwards toward heaven." A rich sexual metaphor. It was the new world, capital N and capital W. And the Beijing consensus is not about a new world. America still retains this sort of ability to excite the imagination. And that is an enormously important part of America's power. And one which I think, has lasting power. It's not all decisive, but it's a very important one. And the civilization of modernity in which we live, the human rights revolution, the information technology revolution, all of these things, many of them have to do with the exciting of imagination.